Hey everyone, welcome to Sidetrack Adventures. This is Steve. Right now we're in Palos Verdes, California, and somewhere down that cliff behind me are the remains of a shipwreck from 1961. And today we're going to try to make our way down this cliff and find that shipwreck. We are currently in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, right above Lunada Bay on Paseo del Mar. The first thing we have to do is figure out how to get down these cliffs. From what I've read, there's a few different trails, but I don't see a sign of any of them. Looks like we may have found a trail right over here. Well, it looks like this is something. Looks like there's actually a sign down here, so this has to be the right way. Unless, of course, that sign says, "Do not enter" or something. It's heading down, so we'll see where it goes. At least we're heading the right direction. Whatever this sign is up here, they sure didn't put it in a place where it's easy to find. I'm following the directions to get down here from California through my lens, and I'll put a link to his website in the description. And here's the sign. It doesn't say "danger, go away," so it looks like we're on the right track. The camera always flattens things out, but this trail is actually pretty steep. Plus there's lots of loose gravel and sandstone, which probably isn't the best combination when there's what's at least a 100-foot drop next to you. You could see how loose this stuff is right here. If you slip going down this, you definitely want to fall to the right, because this is what's on the left. And here's a look back at the canyon we're traveling down. It looks like there's a bit of a waterfall at times. Oh man, this better not be a dead end up ahead. I have to be careful right here. This stuff's pretty loose. And good, it's not a dead end. The trail was just being hidden by this bush. And as bad as going down this is, of course we have to come back up later. You know what they say, going down is optional, coming up is mandatory. And the shipwreck is somewhere down this beach. I think we should be about a mile away from it right now. And we are just about at the bottom. And I'll start talking about the history of the shipwreck in just a moment. I just wanted to make sure I didn't take the fast way down, if you know what I mean, when we were heading down the trail. Imagine getting all the way down here, then wiping out at this part. And we've made it to the bottom. Alright, now we just need to head about a mile to the north, and somewhere along this shore are the remains of the Dominator. And just to give you an idea of what we climbed down to get here, we started on the top of this cliff. This is a pretty cool little cove. We're about 30 minutes or so from low tide right now. So right now we're heading to the wreckage of the Dominator, which shipwrecked on this coast in 1961. The Dominator was a 441-foot Liberty ship that was built during World War II. Originally named the Melville Jacoby, it was constructed in just a few weeks as part of America's wartime effort to crank out cargo ships faster than the enemy could sink them. After the war, many Liberty ships were sold off to commercial companies, and the Melville Jacoby was renamed Dominator, reflagged under Greece, and began hauling goods across the world's oceans. These rocks have to be the worst thing to hike across. I can't believe we have to go a mile across these. And they are somehow now getting bigger too. I'm glad I decided to wear my hiking boots today. And my ankles are glad I decided to wear them too. In between being known as the Melville Jacoby and the SS Dominator, the ship was also known as the SS Victoria and the SS North Queen. The ship changed hands a number of times over the years. But in March 1961, the Dominator was on its way from Vancouver to the Panama Canal, loaded with a cargo of wheat and beef. As it passed through dense fog off this coast, it somehow veered too close to the shore and struck rocks. Speaking of rocks, check these out. According to my wife, these are known as sedimentary rocks. I don't know how she knows so much about rocks. I asked her and she said, junior high school science class. But here's a look back to show how far we've gone. From this angle, it looks like that crack is about to take out a mansion, but it's actually nowhere near it. Because of these rocks, it feels like we've walked a lot further than we have, but hopefully the shipwreck should be just around the corner. It looks like somebody has built themselves some sort of relaxation zone here. It's too bad they have left all this trash, though. And what do we have up here? At first I thought this might be a World War II era bunker, as there are a few of them in the area. But now that we're a little bit closer, I don't think so. It looks like it could be some sort of air intake or something, maybe. I decided to climb up top to get a better look, and it's most definitely not a World War II era bunker. It looks like it belongs to one of the mansions up above. There's all sorts of pipes going up there, and one of them even has a staircase coming down to the beach. It would have been nice to come down that rather than that sketchy cliff. But here you can see a pipe leading from this thing heading up to the buildings above. So it must be for exhaust or some sort of air intake. There's a sailboat right off the coast. And you can also see the rocks here and see how these would be bad news for anyone getting too close. It's just about low tide right now. It looks like we've come across our first piece of metal, so we must be getting close. And there it is, just up ahead. Here's another piece of it right here. After the ship grounded, for 2 days the Coast Guard tried to help. Tugboats arrived, but heavy surf and rising winds made it impossible to free the ship. Eventually, the captain gave the order to abandon her. When I first saw this, I got a little disappointed. I thought this was all there was, but now I can see there's a lot more further down. There are pieces of this ship everywhere. Over the decades, storms and tides have torn the wreck apart. It's amazing to think that this was once a 441-foot ship, but most of it has just been completely destroyed by now. And unfortunately, I don't know enough about ships to know what any of these parts are. But there are just pieces of this thing as far as the eye can see right now. Despite attempts to free the Dominator, the powerful waves and jagged rocks proved too much. The ship was heavily damaged, and salvage operations began. And the salvage operation ended up being pretty chaotic, as not only did you have the authorized salvage operation, but looters showed up as well, scavenging everything from canned meat to electrical parts. A lot of the ship is still underwater, and we can see pieces of it right here, but some of it is even further out. They tried to salvage as much as they could, but after several weeks of relentless pounding by the Pacific, the ship broke apart. They did salvage the stern section, but the bow and midship remained, and I guess that's what we're seeing the parts of here. It's incredible to think about the force of the ocean that tore this ship apart. I mean, look at this section here. You can see how the metal has been bent and corroded over decades of exposure to salt water and waves. The ocean is slowly reclaiming it. It makes me think of words by the great poet Buck Dharma. History shows again and again how nature points out the folly of man. Godzilla. This wreckage really goes on and on. I wouldn't be surprised if it spread out over at least a half a mile. Here's an old tractor. This wasn't actually from the ship, but from the salvage operation. This got stuck in the rocks as well, and they weren't able to get it out, so it's just been left here. So yeah, even the salvage operation was a bit of a disaster. Also after the wreck, the owner of the ship refused to pay the crew their wages, and they ended up having to go to court over it. Luckily though, no lives were lost in the shipwreck, though one person did die swimming out to it about a week after it was grounded. There was also a fire that broke out on the ship during the salvage, destroying a lot of the salvage equipment. Another problem with the salvage was, because the meat had started to spoil, there was no value in it, so it was just left. So of course, tons of spoiling meat down here didn't make for a pleasant smell for anyone who lived nearby, and attracted a lot of flies. Residents also had issues with sightseers coming to see the ship, and climbing over fences, etc., to get a closer look. If only they would have known they could just take a sketchy trail down a cliff. And there are just pieces of this thing everywhere. There's more of it in this tide pool here. It's definitely best to come down here at low tide. Beyond the historical significance, the Dominator shipwreck has also become a unique habitat. The submerged and exposed metal structures provide shelter for various marine life, like this little crab here. Holy rusted metal! Even though there are pieces of it everywhere, it's amazing how after just a little more than 60 years, how little is left. I bet if we came back here in another 60 years, there would hardly be anything to see. So keep an eye out for our follow-up video in 2085, I guess. Then again, in 60 years, who knows how much further back these cliffs will be too. It's incredible how quiet it is down here. Just the sound of waves and the rusted bones of a ship that ran out of luck a long time ago. So that's our look at the shipwreck of the Dominator. Now we just have to make it back up that cliff. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.